According to Nielsen research, hair care is one of the top categories for Black consumers, with approximately 2.2 billion in annual sales. Yet our needs for hair care is not being met. And recent research suggests that we need to be cautious of certain product ingredients because it may be detrimental to our health. And all for what? Are we risking our health to conform, or are we just trying to make our busy lives easier while feeling good about ourselves? And what about the continued resistance to the Crown Act that is designed to make it illegal to discriminate against people based on their hairstyle or their texture? Now, this platform is to bring knowledge and awareness to those who believe that our Black hair matters, but it's also important to share perspectives and issues that pertain to our Black hair matters. So, in today's chat, Dr. Tameka Ellington will join me to discuss how our culture, mindset, and actions feed into how we treat ourselves, how others treat us, and how we can counteract negative speak about hair and embrace our beauty. My name is Dr. Crystal Porter. I'm a hair scientist and owner of Main Insights, a company that conducts research and focuses on the hair needs of people of African descent. This platform is designed to elevate the Black hair care industry and empower consumers and hair professionals with education that is supported by scientific research. Thank you so much for being here today. Now, before I bring on Dr. Tameka, I'd love to know who is out there with me this morning. Let me know who you are and where you're watching from. You can put it in the chat. And also let me know if you are a hair practitioner, put in the number 1. If you are a consumer, put the number 2. And if you are a researcher or scientist such as myself, put in the number 3. Also, feel free to like and share this broadcast. Now, if you are frustrated with the lack of information available when it comes to caring for your hair, and you've wasted a lot of time, money, and resources trying to figure things out on your own, then you are definitely in the right place. And that is why we have created the Our Black Hair Matters movement. Now, if you haven't checked it out already today, I have some useful resources on my hair assets page. And you can find documents about finding the right stylist, learning the biggest mistake that curlies make. There are hair themed children's books, and also a template for you to write letters to companies who don't have data to back up some of their claims, especially if it pertains to people of African descent. And that resource is links.maininsights.com/info, and you should see that on the screen now. All right. So for those who just joined us a little late, welcome to the Our Black Hair Matters lunchtime chat. I am Dr. Crystal Porter, and today I have Dr. Tameka Ellington with me today, and she is not a stranger to the chat at all. Dr. Tameka was here last year to talk about her fabulous textures exhibit that she held at Kent State University, along with her colleague. And the year before that, she was here to speak about her research on Black beauty and Black hair. So without further ado, we're going to bring her on. Welcome to the chat, Dr. Tameka.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's such a nice time to see you again. And I was really excited, about being here with you and just getting an opportunity to sit and chat with you on some of these critical topics. So
Yeah.
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And so I want to share your bio so people can get a little bit of a background. So this is abbreviated, so it does not represent everything that Dr. Tameka does, but I think it'll give you a perspective of how fabulous she is. So Dr. Tameka is the CEO and founder of First Generation Revolutionaries, a movement developed to provide professional development, networking, and spiritual fulfillment to her clients. She is a motivational speaker, internationally acclaimed and awarded educator and scholar, professional development strategist, and first generation student advocate. Dr. Tameka is the author of Make Fear Your Superpower, a witty and real memoir that speaks to the inner courage that we all possess. Is also author of Be the GOAT, Career Readiness Manual for First Generation Students and Young Professionals. She helps youth increase their confidence and realize the power that they have inside. She is dedicated to helping others face their fears and go beyond their circumstances so that they can become the best version of themselves. Her mantra is revolutionize your thinking.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
awesome. Yeah, and so I see a number of people have joined us. I
Yes.
have to say, a lot of people are coming up as Facebook users, so I apologize that I can't acknowledge your name. But we have Margaret Haven, thanks so much. We have M. Dickens, we have Lacey. Like I said, some people are coming up as Facebook users. We have Monique. Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you for joining, Joy. Yeah, and then Dakota as well. All right. So, I have to say that you had two articles that you recently published.
Yeah.
And the most recent is Black Women Hair Under Attack.
Yeah. Yeah. That was for Code M magazine. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And so, let's talk about some of the things that
Yeah.
you're stirring. I don't want to say stirring the pot because it makes it seem like that is something that's not necessary to discuss. But I can see how it can evoke emotion.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about some of that. So, what inspired you to even talk about? Well, can you give an overview about it, and then what inspired it?
The Code M article.
Yes, the Code M article.
So the Code M article came from the research that had just come out about Black women's um, possibility of getting cancer, right? Uterine cancer, fibroid cancer. These types of research studies have been done. So for a very long time, actually, many years, this kind of research. So, what people are seeing now is not something new, right? It's not something that is the first time around that this research is coming out. This is research that's been going on for quite some time, right? And so the article was inspired by that because really what I'm trying to do is not convert people to become natural. What I'm trying to get them to do is trying to get them to really think through their choices, because of the fact that we're still so brainwashed as Black people. We're brainwashed to believe that there's only one type of beauty.
Mhm.
And I'm just trying to get people to see that beauty comes in all different types. And also, too, because now our hair is under attack in regards to our whole body, really is under attack now with the possibility of getting cancer from hair straighteners. And I just want women to really think through their choices, to really weigh out, is it worth, still taking the risk to straighten just to fit within beauty standards. And we can talk a little bit more about that because, women have all types of reasons for why they decide to straighten their hair.
Mhm.
But the article was just a means by which to just get people to start think differently. We've been taught for so long that straightening our hair was the only way. And I just want us to think differently.
Yeah. So I just want to talk a little bit about the research you're talking about.
Yeah.
And these are researchers from the National Institutes of Health.
Yeah.
And what they said is it's estimated that 1.6% of women who never used hair straighteners would go on to develop uterine cancer by the age of 70. But well, that is if you are frequent users of a relaxer or a straightener. And then that risk goes up to 4.05%. So it
Hmm.
increased by, wow, I mean, double,
Yeah.
more than double.
More than double. Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, it's something that will make you pause.
And that's what I want to do is make people pause.
Yes,
Hmm.
and so there are people who say that the research isn't valid,
Yeah.
and people who are saying that it's not valid don't have the data to support it.
Right.
They're just talking about it.
Right.
And I don't understand that. Any thoughts to that?
Yeah, I truly believe that the people that are saying that the research isn't valid, they have an ulterior motive behind that. And what I mean by that is a lot of times these are individuals that actually are hair practitioners. They work in the industry. They're stylists, cosmetologists, people who have been giving women these services of straightening their hair for many years, and they make good money, by doing it. And so those individuals believe that it's propaganda, or that the research isn't real, that the research is meant to just scare Black women away from straightening their hair. And really what it is I honestly believe that those individuals are just afraid that the population is just going to shift so much that it's going to impact their economics, right? It's going to impact their pockets. And as a researcher myself, it is almost offensive to me to hear people say that the research is invalid, because first off, as a researcher, why would you put your institution on the line for fake research? Why would you put your name on the line as a researcher yourself, put your name on the line for research that is not valid? You know, they have nothing to gain by scaring Black women. Nothing at all do they have to gain by scaring us, right? And so that's what I want people to start thinking, like, make the choice for yourself. Do the research for yourself and make the choice for yourself, and don't listen to what other people are saying. Don't even listen to what we're saying. Do the research for yourself and find
Yes,
out, you
you are
know?
so right with that.
Yeah,
I don't understand the push to continue to use relaxers when there is lots of money to be made with
hmm,
natural hair.
absolutely. People
And
just they don't want to retrain themselves. They don't want to learn a new skill, you
And
know?
yeah, and we're underserved. Those
Right.
of us with natural hair, I cannot tell you how many consumers are upset because they cannot find the right stylist.
Yeah, and
They
then not only that, the demand is so high that the people that do service natural hair get to charge astronomical prices because the demand is so high, right?
Yeah,
And so then women say, "Oh, well, natural hair costs too much."
yeah.
But really what it is it's an underserved market. And because it's underserved, people have the right to be able to charge whatever they want to charge for those services, right?
But here's the thing. The statistics show that we spend a lot of money on our hair.
Here. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
wait, and I have a stat somewhere around here, and I don't know what I
Mhm.
did with it. But
Ooh,
we
that just, you know what that just
well, it's a $2.6 billion industry, and we
absolutely.
spend more per capita than any other ethnic group. That I know.
Yeah.
That I know. But you can't say that we don't spend money on hair, because the hair extension market is
Hmm.
huge. A
Hmm.
lot of money is spent on that. And so it really is where you're putting your dollars.
You know what that is too? As you were speaking, what just came to my mind is people believe that they shouldn't pay good money for natural hair because it's something that can be done, quote unquote, at home, right?
Mm.
Right?
And that is so not true. Because
That's true.
some people have the dexterity and the skill to be able to do their hair where they look and feel beautiful, because at the end of the day, that is what people want. I say that
Right.
all the time. People want to look and feel beautiful.
Right.
And a lot of times they're looking for, or they're trying to achieve a particular look,
Right.
and when they don't feel that way, they feel defeated. Their esteem is, it, it causes emotional turmoil. I mean, so there are a
Absolutely.
lot of reasons why we shy away from doing our hair ourselves. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, we would have to pay some money, but there are classes out there now for people to learn how to do their natural hair.
Yeah.
And it really is. And you know what? I'm gonna have to put this as a resource. I didn't think about this right now, but there is a stylist, a young lady who is, and I'm gonna look it up while we're on, so I can actually give people that information. But there are resources out there so you can get help.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And if you're in the, there's this one salon that I just admire so much. This woman, she's actually been in the game since the natural hair movement started in the early 2000s. Her salon is actually in Philly. So if you are in the Philly area, look up Sarita Scott is her name, and her salon is called Duafe Hair Salon. It's in Philly. She's been featured in O Magazine, Essence, Ebony, Vogue, Black Enterprise, Rolling Stone. She does Ava DuVernay's hair and some other people who are natural. But there are some stylists out there that are very well known for doing natural hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
So the young lady that I'm talking about, she's actually based, I want to say she's in Kansas City, if I'm not
Okay,
mistaken.
okay.
But her name is Brianna Bell, and she
Mm,
just and she's having something on January 21st. So I will definitely share
yeah,
that, and
yeah.
I'll actually have my assistant here put the information so we can pull it up. Here you go.
Okay.
It's the second link there. You can put that so we can put it up on the screen.
Yeah,
But thank you.
yeah.
And so I want to talk a little bit about the perception that natural hair is just a fad.
Oh boy.
So, it's this movement, but there is an uptick in a number of women of African descent going back to the relaxer.
Hmm.
And so they're like, oh, it's just a fad. It's going to swing. That pendulum is going to swing just like, all fads do. What are
Hmm.
your thoughts on that?
Honestly, it's disheartening to say, but I truly believe that for many Black women, the natural hair movement was a fad for them. It was very popular to do, so they were doing it just because they saw other people doing it. In my opinion, when you decide to go natural, it should be a lifestyle change. It's not a trend. It should be something that you choose for your lifestyle. A lot of women are deciding to go back to straightened hair. I was just looking at an article that came out. Yahoo did an article that was talking about why Black women are deciding in large numbers to go back to straightened hair. And really, it has everything to do with trend, because things that are very trendy now are things like the wigs and the extensions have gotten really, really big again, and for women to be able to properly have those kinds of hairstyles, they have to straighten their hair in order to have that hair be able to blend in with those extensions, right? To be able to, I don't know what they call it, but to blend that hair in.
Mhm.
But it's sad to me to see that the large number of women that decided to go natural in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, have now decided to go back because for so many reasons. They say things like it's too expensive to do natural hair. They'll say things like, I just get product overload. I don't know what to use on my hair. They'll say things like, it's just easier to do my hair when it's straightened. We've been taught that Black hair is hard to do. We've been taught that it's a nuisance. And so for us being trained, like we've been brainwashed to believe that our hair is a nuisance, that it's hard to do. And of course, anything that we haven't had access to, growing up is going to be a challenge. Most of us, most women haven't been able to see their natural hair texture since they were a kid, right? And in some cases, they hadn't seen it since before they could even remember. Some girls get perms or straighteners when as young as 5 years old.
Yeah.
So they've never really seen their hair in its natural state. So going from all your life being straight to then, transitioning into being a natural, it's going to be difficult because it's different. You weren't raised with, your natural hair. And so that's to me, I think those are just cop out reasons for saying, let's transition over. Right. And then, I mean, we can't, and I don't know if this is on your agenda to talk about, Dr. Crystal, but we have to just be real about it. A lot of times, if women are in the dating market, naturals have a difficult time with dating. They really do. And so, you know, that's something else, that another reason why women want to go back is because the men want them to relax their hair. They want that long, they want that long, you know, hair, right?
Yeah. So wait, you talked about a lot, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, I got to hit on this, I got to hit on that. But I want to qualify, hair being difficult,
Mhm.
because I have to talk about, or I'm thinking about an experience that I had when all three of my girls, so my girls are grown now. So, but when my oldest became of age and I knew that she would want to start taking out the pigtails or the ponytails that I was putting in her hair, and I was like, ugh. So I decided to go natural in the early 2000s.
Mhm.
And so I had three heads of natural hair, and it was so difficult. So I didn't have hair days, I had hair weekends. And
Mhm.
I was absolutely miserable. My
Yeah.
children were miserable. So we were all miserable. And so I did make my life easier by putting a relaxer back in my hair, because it took me more than half the time to deal with my hair when it was straight. And then I also started paying to get my daughter's hair done because she wanted to wear her hair straight. So, I was like, okay, we can still keep it natural and, have you thermally straighten your hair. But that was a fiasco, and her hair was thermally damaged, and it had to be all, the damage had to be cut off. And then it was a process of growing it out. I mean, there are trials and tribulations
Mhm.
that we have with our hair in
Yeah.
trying to figure out what to do when it's in this natural state. So
Yeah.
it's not always that easy. So I think
That is true.
when you said that it's a lifestyle change, the same can be said when it comes to our diet. And
Absolutely.
we know how many people know what is best for them, but
Yeah.
they decide to go with what's easier. It's easy to pick up something that, is less healthy, unfortunately. So I
Mhm.
think it's the same with our hair. We tend
Yeah.
to just try to minimize the already busy days that we have. And so if it makes it easier to have braids where you can just
Yeah.
get up, fluff it up, and then go away, be,
Mhm.
go on about your day. I think that's just easier. And so I sometimes think that we are hard on some of the women who choose to not embrace their natural hair just
Mhm.
because it's things going on with them. So I try to have some sort of
It's
compassion.
it's hard. It's a very difficult decision to make. It's a commitment. Like I said, it is a lifestyle change,
Yeah.
a whole different way of being. Um, but you have to weigh, okay, do I value saving time, or do I value my health, or do I value my authenticity? You know
Mm,
what I'm saying?
mhm,
Those are the things that I think you have to question when
mhm,
you make the decision whether or not you want to do it. It's hard. It's not, because if it were easy, we all would be one way or the other, right?
mhm.
But it's difficult decision. It really, really is.
Yeah,
It really, really is. And there's no one answer for everyone. But these kinds of conversations give us all something to think about.
absolutely. So I want to just take a break and acknowledge some of those who have made comments.
Yeah.
Veronica joined us and says, hello, Taria is here. Thank you for showing up. And then Monique has been agreeing with you. Veronica has been agreeing with you. Then we have Lacey Harper Mack, who has been told by her clients some of the things that we're talking about. Also have clients who, I'm gonna put this on the screen. Um,
Uh-huh.
have not saw that their natural hair. Oh,
Yep. Yep.
theirs. Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Just sometimes you just don't know.
Yeah. I had done a research study several years ago where it was a research study about self-esteem and black hair. And one of the questions that I had asked the women were about their spouses or, dating and things like that. And what were some of the responses when they decided to go natural? Like what were, like their spouse, like what did their spouse say? And lots of the women were saying things like, well, my spouse doesn't like my hair. Like my husband, doesn't like my natural hair. Or
Mhm.
um, I had one woman tell me, she said she decided to do a big chop. And so her hair was quite short, probably a little shorter than mine. And she was in the dating pool. She was an older woman, like I probably like in her at least in her 50s or 60s, right? So that's a whole different generation too, right? So if we talk about generational ideas about
Yeah.
beauty, right? So she told me, which was so interesting. She said she was dating this gentleman. They had just when they just first met, he said to her, a woman's hair is her crown and glory. And she was like, yeah, absolutely. And he was like, but you got some awful short glory. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's heartbreaking. I'm curious if
It
anyone
is.
looking at this have had experiences like that. That's, ooh, yeah, we
Yeah.
have horrible. Lacey says, that's horrible. And I mean, I'm just taken aback just hearing it. You know, it is that programming.
It
I think
is. We have
that
all been programmed.
and I think we need to look past that. Now, one thing that I am very intentional in doing is I try not to make sure that every strand is in place. I try intentionally to
Yeah.
make sure that people know that it's acceptable. So even though I think that my style is a intentioned,
Yeah.
so it's very
Yeah.
intentional.
Yeah.
So meaning I got up this morning and did something to it, but it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be perfect. And I
Yeah.
still think it displays, who I am, my texture. I'm not hiding my, oh,
Yeah.
I shouldn't say I'm not hiding my texture. In actuality, I am because my twist out isn't a natural because it
Mm.
does allow me to, have some type of structure to it.
Uh-huh.
But the reason why I do it because I would rock an afro in a heartbeat because I actually feel that it would be easier instead of me taking time to twist
Hmm.
it. But I only twist it because it allows my fibers not to tangle up.
Hmm. Yeah. You can control them. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So when I go to manipulate it during my cleansing process, then I don't have to fight through the tangles because it's,
Yeah.
it's done in such a way that it'll just, flow and be untangled because I've gone through had the effort
Yeah.
of double strand twisting it. But I mean, I don't think that we should feel that it's something wrong with if there is what people would probably say in a derogatory way, the beady beads, how you have, a kink and a twist that kind of, wraps upon itself. And people are like, woo, you got a nap in the back. You know, it's okay. That's how our hair does. And yes, sometimes I do want to comb through it because I don't want it to break off. But
Yeah.
at the same time, that is embracing how our hair naturally coils, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Those terms that we grew up listening to and being conditioned to, like the whole kitchen situation. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, just why first off, why is it that we think that it was okay? I mean, it's all brainwashing, right? But the fact that we had to call it something. That part, that the nape part of our neck, that it had to be called something. And across the whole United States, if you say to anybody the kitchen, everybody knows what that means, right? And how negative the kitchen is. It's a neck. And you know what? There's even several years ago, Nicki Minaj came out with a song called "Did It On 'Em," and Nicki Minaj was talking about, she made reference in the song talking about her kitchen was good. Again, playing on this good hair, bad hair situation, saying
Mm,
basically, and what she was saying in the song was that nappy HHH needs to straighten their hair, is basically what she was saying. So our young girls are hearing these things. They admire people like Nicki Minaj. And Nicki Minaj is saying girls with nappy hair need to straighten their hair because obviously their hair is not good, right?
mm, mhm.
So we just continue to perpetuate this whole idea of good hair, bad hair, that there's something wrong with the way that our hair grows out of our head, you know?
Yeah.
We keep perpetuating that.
Yeah. And I think that feeds into why some women, not all, because I know a lot of women wear extensions because it's just easier for them. It's
Hmm.
time saving.
Yeah.
But I think that is why they get extensions all the way down to their knees. I think that is so funny because I think that that's actually making your life harder, having to deal
Yeah.
with all that hair.
Yeah.
But I think that in itself is a fashion statement, right?
Oh
But
yeah.
I couldn't imagine having hair down to my knees. I don't like my hair being, up in my face. I don't like to move it out the way, so I can't even imagine. Oh,
Hmm.
but that feeds into why people glamorize that, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I'm curious. Are there some stories that people have? I would love for you to share it in the chat if you feel that there is, a story where you feel that someone discriminated against you because that, goes to the Crown Act, which I think is just, I don't understand it. I don't understand. Well, I know that it can be a little convoluted when it comes to passing bills because they put other bills along with, other bills that they will try to pass all at once. So I understand that it's not so straightforward. But I have heard some congressmen talk about, no, I don't support this bill because I don't think it's a need for it. And I'm like, I mean, it to me, it just shows the insensitivity and
Absolutely.
the ignorance for someone to
Absolutely.
even say something like that. It's like you live under a rock if you
Absolutely.
don't see how Black people in particular are discriminated against because they choose to wear their hair in its natural state.
Well, it's that's just a representation of white privilege, right? It's just a representation that for years and years, white people have not had to at all care about issues that deal with Black people. They haven't. We've always had to care about issues that deal with white people because we live in a white society. But when
Mhm.
it comes to issues that are in relation to the things that affect Black people, most of the time white people have absolutely no clue. They don't have to know. They don't have to care because they're not affected by it. And so the path, like the fact that the Senate did not pass the Crown Act is a representation of that through and through. That they don't even think that they think it's frivolous. That's a frivolous piece of legislation, right? When in all actuality, it's life changing for people. And I don't understand it either. It just, to me, actually, my next article that I'm writing is in response to that, and I'm gonna be sending that out real soon to one of the big newspapers to get that op-ed published. But it's a direct um, response to the fact that white people are still so privileged and they don't have to care about our issues.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk about the interview, and I should, well, as we were talking, I thought about it, and I'm sitting here trying to figure out what platform it was on. So, those of you who are watching the chat, please put it in because I can't think of the name of the platform she was on. But she did an interview with Tina Knowles and her. uh, Have you seen that interview? And she had her hair in individual braids. Did
Mm-mm.
you see that one? Yeah. So she was talking about how she purposely did not wear her hair in those types of ethnic styles. And she didn't say it that way, but she didn't wear it because it was just another distraction. I mean, there were so many things that she was criticized about, and that would have been another distraction
Who is she?
over
Who is Tina Knowles?
Michelle Obama. Michelle
Oh,
Obama.
Michelle Obama. Oh, okay. Okay.
And so she did not wear her hair in ethnic styles while in the White House
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because it would have been, talked about, and the real
Mm-hmm.
issues would have been
Mm-hmm.
just glossed over. So it's just interesting how we have to think about these things.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the main reasons why in the workplace, for those who are in environments that are not inviting for
Yeah.
people to showcase who they really are and be free to wear their hair, it really is a matter of whether or not they want to fight that fight in addition to having to work on the job.
Well,
Oh,
see,
and I thought about the platform. It's
yeah.
Revolt.
Revolt. Okay. Okay.
Revolt, yeah, on Revolt.
I
So
mean, there was talk about the fact that whether or not if Michelle Obama would have chose to be natural during the campaigns, like would he have even gotten elected?
that's true. Another
If
distraction.
if, if he like if she had a big beautiful afro of kinky curly hair,
Yeah, yeah.
would that have affected his campaign?
Hmm. It would have.
It would have,
It would have.
which is dumb.
No doubt.
And
Yeah.
it has absolutely nothing to do with whether or not he's capable of running the country.
Right. Right.
But those are things that we as Black people have to deal with, and they don't have to deal with it because they're not impacted by it. And that's one of the things that I don't get is that the Senate not passing the Crown Act is just another way of them saying that we want to continue to regulate who you are. We want to continue to have a hand in how you show up in the world.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed.
Hmm.
Whew. So, are there any other things that you feel that we need to bring to the forefront when it comes to talking about Black hair and things that we need to face?
I just want to encourage women to just do their own research.
Mm,
Not don't listen to what people are saying about, especially too now that this research has come out about the cancer, and that it's really big now. You can't turn the radio on without listening to these advertisements about the fact that now there's lawsuits out there, right? You can't even turn the radio on without hearing these advertisements saying, oh, if you've gotten, ovarian or fibroid or whatever, if you've gotten those kinds of conditions because you chose to wear your hair straight, and call this number, and you may be entitled to a payout, right? So we can't even turn the radio on without hearing these kinds of ads. So I just want women, again, my goal in life is not to convert. My goal in life is to educate people. And
mm,
so I want all the women that are listening to just educate themselves and then make the decision for themselves.
mm, mhm, mhm. Wow. So I want to conclude by, just giving people some resources in terms of what they can do or things that they should consider. Um, because as we talked about before, it's a very difficult decision to go natural. And once you decide to go natural, have support.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about some of the support that women may be able to have when they're natural. So I guess we can start off with the Crown Act.
Yeah.
And I think we can write legislators, right?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and really support it. I know that there is a push to, like, there are different organizations who want to push that, but I think our actions speak volumes. And
Yeah.
so, as I always advocate for people to take matters into their own hands and write letters to manufacturers to show proof and data behind what it is they're claiming to do with their products, I
Yeah.
feel the exact same way with the politicians. We need to really show a unified front, or have a unified front, to make sure that people know we're serious,
Yeah.
and,
I
and not just Black people.
Yeah. I just linked for you in our private chat
Okay.
the website where people can go on and sign the petition for the Crown Act.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Mhm.
I will put
So,
that.
yeah, so that's definitely one thing that people can do is sign the petition so
Okay.
that we can try to get that Crown Act passed. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, they want to get up to 500,000 signatures. They're almost there. And if we all can, can contribute and sign, that would be great. Um, when we were thinking about resources, you had asked me, what would I recommend? I honestly think that, and this is something that Black people have had difficulty with throughout all of our, every Black person in our culture, we've been also conditioned to believe that there's something wrong with therapy, with us going to therapy. Um, I truly believe that if you are a Black woman and you've had some kind of trauma in regards to your hair, I myself have had numerous types of trauma. My hair has fallen out on several different occasions because of my choice to wear straighteners. And I've been natural now since 98, and I will never have another straightener in my hair for the rest of my life. But because of the trauma that we faced as a result of our hair, it plays into our self-esteem, it plays into, how we show up in the world. And I think that it's a great idea for women to also go and get a therapist and talk to a therapist about that. And that will also help to give you, and if you can, find a Black therapist. Because again, a white therapist may not necessarily be able to even understand or wrap their mind around the trauma that you may have faced as a result of your hair. So if you can find a therapist to speak to about some of the trauma that you might have come across because of your hair, that'll also, give you ways to be able to cope and to deal with, especially if you want to go natural or if you want to remain natural, because there's a lot of pressure now not to be natural. So,
Yeah,
um, yeah,
absolutely. And so our friend, Dr. Afia Mbilashaka,
yeah,
he also helps and is a therapist,
yes,
particularly for hair issues. So I
yeah,
think that's a great resource.
yeah.
And where is she located now? I think
She's
she,
at DC, isn't she? Or did she move to New York? I,
I want to say she was in DC,
right.
and New York sounds familiar.
Yeah, yeah. She may be in New York now. Yeah,
Yeah,
but you can reach out to her on Instagram. She has Instagram and Facebook, but yeah, she's an amazing resource.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And what I have on the screen now is what you were talking about, the
yeah,
Crown Act. And so
mhm,
I also put it in the chat. So
yeah,
on various platforms, they also have the link there as
yeah,
well. So
yeah,
great. And then the other thing I was talking about, it was showing up earlier, but I'm gonna put it back. So I was talking about Brianna Bell having her course to help people to embrace their curls and have styling options. And she's having a class. And so if you go to this link, you can see what her classes are. So I
mhm.
invite you to look her up. And if you're having some problems, that would be an awesome resource as well.
Curlology. I love the name.
Yeah, she is doing it. And to be in the Midwest and, not one of the most populated areas. She's doing some things when it comes to empowering consumers to embrace their curls and learn how to deal with their hair. Yeah. And also, the other thing I want to say is I mentioned earlier that it doesn't have to be, everything doesn't have to be led by Black people. I think when there are people of, who are white or Asian who have educated themselves and have empathy for, what we go through, then, having support in numbers is great. So just, becoming aware of the sensitivities, because if the congressmen don't understand anything, at least we can have a united front and say, hey, no, I'm not Black, but I see it, and I
Mhm.
call it out when it happens.
Absolutely.
So
Actually, when Dr. Joseph and I did the textures exhibition, that was one of the things that we talked a whole lot about being an advocate. Dr. Joseph, he is Chinese American. His mom is Chinese, his dad is white. And he's in several of our presentations would always say, I don't have Black hair, but I know the importance of this topic and what it's meant to a whole culture
yeah,
of people.
absolutely.
So being an advocate is everything, and we definitely need advocates.
Yes. So thank you for that.
Hmm.
And then the other thing that I'll end on is I spoke earlier about the resources that I have on my hair assets page.
Yeah.
And that is links.maininsights.com/info. There is a resource called How to Find the Right Stylist. And so that can also be hopefully of use for those who just don't know how to even start having those conversations and how to go about looking for someone. And I, unfortunately, I know that it's a lot of stylists that have a lot of talk. They talk about healthy hair, they have all these gadgets. And I always tell people to challenge everything that anyone says, so
Mm,
including myself. If
mm,
I don't
yeah.
have, a resource to back up, what it is I'm saying, challenge me as well.
Mhm.
Challenge everybody, especially the scientists, because there's not scientists, especially the stylists, but
Mhm.
you should also challenge scientists. But stylists, they have the gift of gab, and I think you need to
Persuasion,
ask
yeah.
them, yeah, why they are using the products that they're using. If they're going into a back room and they're mixing up a concoction, and you ask about it, and
Mm,
they're not forthcoming with the information, that right there is a red flag. And so, if they don't give you the information, then you need to get out that chair and find someone else. So, I do have that resource as well.
mm.
So, any last remarks before we close it up?
No, thank you. I just want to say thank you, Dr. Crystal. Ever since we've met, you've been nothing but a blessing to me.
Oh,
And so I appreciate the work that you do. I mean, it inspires me to continue on. As you know, I think I told you that I decided to transition my speaking platform to focus on Black hair. And so for a long time, I was avoiding it because I know how controversial the topic is and how difficult it is. A lot of our Black people have a hard time hearing the truth. And so I just admire that you've been consistently on this. You've been consistently, putting the message out about healthy hair. So I appreciate that.
right. And so, for anyone who wants to reach out to Dr. Tameka, we have her website here, drtamekaellington.com. And so you do speaking, and you are fabulous. I was honored to be at the Textures conference that you had. So not only did you have an
Yeah.
exhibition, you also had a conference.
Yeah.
And it was, man, so diverse with so many different perspectives that I would not have even imagined. Who would have thought that you could use hair as art,
Yeah.
not only on canvas, but also like clothing?
Yes.
I
Right.
couldn't
Yeah.
believe that. I'm like,
Right.
okay. I think about clothing. I think of animal hair. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess we are animals, but I think about
Yeah.
like the furs, or the sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many. I mean, what I love about hair is that so many people are inspired by it in so many different ways. And
Mhm.
that's really what brought textures about, is just the fact that so many of our artists, our contemporary artists, have used hair as a muse,
Yeah.
and it just being able to bring their work to the forefront and to be able to celebrate, Black hair in a different way that people have probably never seen before.
Mhm.
So that was the main thrust behind us putting textures together. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
was great. It was great.
Thank
And I hope it inspires others or you to do it again. I know it was a lot of work, but other people they have a lot to
you.
contribute, a lot of knowledge to share. And I think that that was a wonderful platform to do
Yeah,
it. So
thank
thank you
you.
for that. Yeah, no problem. So I wanted to just talk about some of the activities that I had. So yesterday I had a webinar, and now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I put it back on the assets page that I'm always talking about, but I had a webinar called the Scientific Research for Hair Practitioners, and
Hmm,
that was held yesterday.
okay.
And I had a number of people attend. It was great, but as always, some people who didn't get the link, and so I did record it. So I wanted to tell people that there is a replay. But now that I'm thinking about it, I set everything up, but I didn't put it in the hair assets page. I'll be putting up momentarily. So 5 minutes after this broadcast, you'll be able to see where you can have access to the replay. So I wanted to make people aware of that. I am always looking for practitioners who use CBD based products on the
Hmm,
hair,
hmm,
or if you're wanting to look for a product, there is something that has been vetted because I want to make sure that anything that's used is safe. But if you are interested in that, let's set up a time to chat. I would love to do research on that. And then finally, if you know someone with natural hair who wants to get it cut, I would love to have it for research purposes. And so you can reach out to my hair assets page at links.maininsights.com/info. And you will be able to reach out, and if you want to sell your hair, there is a form there for you to be able to let us know all the details.
wow.
So thank you again, Dr. Tameka. Loved having you here.
And I'm interested to hear about the CBD products on hair. Like, what have
Yeah,
you what have you learned about it so far?
so that's the thing. There's not a lot of research on
Mm,
it, especially when it comes to hair, but the potential for it to be useful is there,
okay.
particularly with Black hair. So there are always research initiatives for just the general population. Unfortunately, we as Black people don't participate a lot in these studies, and
Mhm.
so the data that pertains specifically to us in terms of whether it's compatible for things that we do as a part of our lifestyle. So the amount of times that we cleanse our hair, the types of products that we use that may be more oil or wax based. I mean,
Mhm.
so there are things that are unique to us that need to be teased out to really understand the impact of some of these
Mhm.
products on us, which is one of the reasons why I frown on the toxicologists who say, oh, the poison is in the dose. And that is correct. The poison is in the dose. But when you have people who are part of the study that are not representative of the people who are having the problems,
Mm,
like us,
yeah,
then you can't tell me that you really know what the dose is
right,
for
right,
everybody. It's not as inclusive. So
right.
I say that, as a backdrop to say that there is more research to be done. And
Mm,
so if there are people already using these products, I would love to get the data to really
wow.
understand the impact of it. So yeah,
Yeah, wow, wow, wow.
any role that I can play to get at the heart of why we experience what we experience and how things need to change to benefit us.
Yeah, wow. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Crystal. It was good to see you.
Yeah, awesome. Good seeing you too. We have to have you back. Right now, it's been like every year.
Yes.
We
Well,
have one.
maybe I'll come back because I have a book that I'm releasing. Um,
Yes.
I don't know if I told you about the book. Did I tell you about the book?
No.
The book. It's going to be published by Kent State University Press. It's called Black Hair in a White World.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it'll be released in the summer. I plan on doing a book tour with it. So yeah, yeah. So I'll be going to about 6 different cities.
That
Yeah.
would be awesome. Is Chicago one of the cities?
I'm going to all the cities where because I have several co-authors that wrote the anthology with me, so I'm going to go and go to their cities. But I would love to come to Chicago. One of my,
You're not far.
you know what, you're absolutely right. You know what, since I had been invited by Dr. Crystal, I will make sure that I put that in because I mean it's very close. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I can help to organize something. So
Yeah, I
yes,
would love that. I would love that. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
I
you
would
need
love
to
that.
come.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for having me on.
No problem. And yes, especially since you're changing, your focus, we definitely need to have you on more often.
Mhm. Yeah. See you
Okay.
later. Have a good
All
one.
right. So remember, as always, that our Black hair matters, and take care and love your hair. Bye bye.